The suprahyoids, which include the geniohyoid, mylohyoid, and stylohyoid, form a wall of muscle along the underside of the jaw. Stretching from the edge of the mandible to the hyoid bone, they lie inferior to the glossus muscles, or the muscles of the tongue. They are partially deep to the digastric muscle, yet are accessible. And the suprahyoid bellies cannot be individually distinguished, however. The long, round digastric muscle is composed of a posterior and an anterior belly. The posterior belly runs from the mastoid process to the hyoid bone, penetrating through the stylohyoid muscle. It then loops through a tendinous sling on the hyoid's anterior surface. It continues on as the anterior belly to attach at the underside of the mandible. Both bellies are superficial, yet difficult to distinguish from the deeper suprahyoid muscles.
Before we access the suprahyoids and the infrahyoids for that matter, let's just recognize that having a hand in the front of the neck can be a little unnerving. So, a few guidelines. First of all, I'm going to let my partner know that at any time you feel uncomfortable or you want to stop, you just let me know. Okay? Good. Second, I'm going to use nice, soft, slow hand movements. And lastly, I'm just going to use my fingertips or finger pads instead of the entire surface of my hand. Okay, with that in mind, let's just isolate where the suprahyoids are underneath the jaw. And there we can begin by seeing them right there, just superimposed as they lay on the front of the neck. And so that area is where we're going to access these muscles. The first thing I'm going to do is just locate that edge of the mandible right here, running from the chin all the way back to that angle and up toward the ear. And so that's going to be one bony ridge that's going to certainly help isolate where the suprahyoids are located. The second is going to be the hyoid bone. And there we can see it just below the level of the chin right there. And before we find this on our partner, let's find this on ourselves. Go ahead and just use your thumb and index finger right here again, right along the level of the bottom of the jaw, and just very gently work your fingers in, and you can find that horseshoe-shaped hyoid bone right there. You can even shift it side to side a little bit. Good. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try to find this on my partner. I'm just going to set very gently my index finger and thumb right here. And again, let me know if this is uncomfortable at any point. And right there is the edge of the hyoid bone. Just feeling it. I can even shift it again a little bit from side to side. And I know this isn't part of the trachea, which is a little bit deeper and further inferior down the neck. And that's going to be one of the other bony landmarks that designates where the suprahyoid muscles are located. So now that I know that that's where the suprahyoids are going to be, I'm going to ask my partner to just go ahead and try to depress her chin a little bit, just a teensy little contraction. Perfect. And as she tries to depress her mandible, the suprahyoids are going to engage. Wow. And sure enough, all of this tissue, sort of the underside of the mandible here, is really nice and taut. And then if you go ahead and relax, and now all of that tissue is nice and soft. So all of these muscles help to depress the mandible, as we just saw. And then I can just set my finger right in this space and just sort of explore some of the muscle tissue that I can find in between these landmarks. Now, it's going to be difficult to really isolate specific bellies, but I can definitely feel that muscular tissue right in there. Okay, so that's where some of the suprahyoids are accessible. The last suprahyoid is the digastric, which is going to run from the mastoid process here, head just underneath the angle of the mandible to the hyoid bone, and then come up here to the underside of the chin. So there we can see it just superimposed, and it's got that posterior belly that comes here to the hyoid bone, and then that anterior belly that comes from the hyoid to the chin. Good. So I'm just going to set my fingers right here, right underneath the angle of the mandible, where the digastric belly is the thickest, and go ahead and just try to depress your mandible a little bit. Great. And there, underneath my finger, is a very slender belly that's extending from here out toward the hyoid bone. And relax. And when she relaxes, that muscle softens and disengages. So that's a portion of the digastric that you can just get your finger on. Great.